What's up? What's up? Happy Thursday, everybody. All right. So today I've been wanting to make this video for a while now, right? This is something I've been talking about with a bunch of people and kind of researching. And, it's the truth about inflation, and the truth is very sobering, but I think it's a wake up call. And I think if we look at this data and we understand kind of what's at play, I think it will help us make better decisions to protect our future and our children's future. Okay. So, what's the truth about inflation? So, I actually made some slides today because it's that important to me. There's a lot of charts, but it just tells a story, and I want you guys to see it. Okay. So, the narrative that we're being told, okay, is that inflation is down 2/3. Everything is working out great. Everything's great with the economy. We won. We beat inflation. But let me ask you guys a serious question, okay? Is everything 66% cheaper? Is anything 66% cheaper? Of course not. So what the heck are they talking about? Because they're not just making this stuff up, right? They can't be. So when they talk about inflation and how it's measured, they use a thing called the Consumer Price Index, okay? And that's basically a measure of the price of goods. I'm going to read you the definition as fast as I can because it's written by the government. It's boring, but it's from the Federal Reserve. So CPIs are based on prices for food, clothing, shelter, fuels, transportation fares, service fees, and sales tax. Prices are collected monthly from about 4,000 housing units and approximately 26,000 retail establishments across 87 urban areas. Very important right there. And the next line is even more important. To calculate the index, price changes are averaged with weights representing their importance in the spending of the particular group. So what does that mean? I read that and I see discretion. That's what I see. Because what's the weight? Which 26,000 retail establishments do you choose? Which 4,000 housing units do you pick? So I think if I was, as a human being, if I had to measure something that is effectively a measure of my job performance, and I had some discretion in how that measurement was conducted, and I wanted to tell a certain narrative that, hey, I'm doing a great job, I'm going to measure it in a way that's beneficial to me. And in spite of that, it still tells a bad story. All right. So, what this means now, so when they talk about the CPI number and the inflation number, it's a year over year percentage change. So, I started all my charts today from February 1st, 2020. If you can't figure out why, comment below and I'll tell you. So, everything we're talking about today from February 21, 2020 through today. So the CPI number in February of 2020 was 2.33% right here. So that means that whatever they measured was a little over 2% more expensive than it was in 2019. So here's a chart, okay, kind of showing that. This is where we begin. And we kind of go, let me turn this off so it's not in your way. So we kind of go down here. This is, we all know what happened, 2020, 21. So inflation was kind of chill, right? Then all of a sudden 2021 starts picking up steam. And it peaked out in June of 2022, right here. See the peak? That's the peak. And that was approximately 9%, 9% more than June of 2021. Okay. Now we come fast forward to this month. If you notice, we actually hit a little low and we kind of trended upward here. But this past inflation number in September was 3.7. So, yes, 3.7 is 60% less than 9%. That is a fact. Okay. But does that mean that inflation is down 2/3? Absolutely not. Okay. What does that mean? Let's just look at something. So in 2021, if you paid $100 for something, in 2022, right here at this June of 22, that same thing should have been $109. Now 2023, we added another 3%. It makes it $112. So really, we're up 12%. Think about that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're being told. So the goal is, with all this monetary policy they're doing, they want this number down to 2%, basically where it was in February of 2020. When they can get that number steadily there, rates will come down, things will change. Well, what does that mean, though? 2%. What does that mean for you on a long-term trend? All right. Actually, hold on. Right before that, I did have something in there. Let that sink in. Okay. 66% down is really 12% up. Let that sink in. If anybody knows what that picture's from, comment below. All right. So the goal is 2%. So through the power of compound interest, 2% inflation means that prices double in 35 years. Let that sink in, okay? That's the goal. They want to double the cost of goods every 35 years. Now, how is this held up through history, right? Because we've been measuring CPI since 1947. All right, well, actually, we'll look really fast. From 2020 to today, okay, so this is cumulative. So this is not year over year change. This is the measure of CPI from February of 2020 to today. It's up 18%. That's in line with kind of how we feel, right? Things have gone up 18% in the past 3 years, right? Things are more expensive. And that's not even that high. I'll show you. It's actually about half. So over time, since the beginning, 1947, let that sink in. Okay? CPI from 1947 to August of 2023 is up 1,325%. So on average, over 76 years, that's 17% a year increase. 1,325% divided by 76 years. We're trying, this is the goal of 2%, and we've been delivering 17% steady for 76 years. That is the sobering reality about inflation, okay? And there's a lot of reasons for that. There are a lot of reasons. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that things are always going to become more expensive. Okay, so how do you win? Well, you win by not holding cash. I'll tell you that. Put your money in the bank and you lose. Okay, here's the money supply. So this is the amount of money in existence. Okay, $15 trillion was in existence in February of 2020. It peaked out in April of 2022 at about $22 trillion. So that's a 43.5% increase in 2 years. Stimulus checks, PPP loans, everything that happened. We all know what happened. Okay. That's all of it right there. Okay. There's your 7 trillion. So 43% increase. So what does that do to your cash when you create 43% more of it? So how do you beat this? Okay. You have to buy hard assets. You have to buy things that are desirable, that are scarce, and that will rise with inflation. So what's an example of that? Well, I have 3 things that I look at. I look at crypto, stocks, and real estate. Those are my 3 things. So let's look at Bitcoin. How did Bitcoin perform? Okay, so from 2020, right there, it was $9,375. It peaked in November of 2021 at $67,500. Okay, that's a 620% increase in just under 2 years. Now you have to remember, the more volatile the asset, the higher it goes, the lower it falls, the sooner it peaks out. And you'll see that. Okay. So the money peaked in April of 22. Bitcoin had the highest return in November of 21. It goes up fast. It comes down just as fast. Okay. Stocks, the S&P 500. So February of 2020, it was at 32.48. Had you bought that dip, you would have got it even cheaper in the 2000s, but it peaked out about January of 22, about a 47% increase. So if you were holding just S&P 500, you beat money printing by about 4%. So that's a return. All right, if you held Bitcoin, even better. But you notice Bitcoin peaked in November of 21, stocks in January of 22. What about real estate? Real estate's going to surprise you. Remember, money printing 43%. Here's the real estate price, 41%. So basically, kept up with the money, kept up with the stocks. Okay. So if you keep your money in cash in the bank and you're worried about inflation, you're going to lose it. 17% a year historically for 76 years. That's the government data, right? Their goal is 2%. So every 35 years, the price of things double. So you lose your purchasing power. So if you put it into real estate, you would have kept up. You would have had the same purchasing power that you had in February of 2020 in June of 22. And if you notice, the real estate line is already a little higher. So, but if you notice the key thing here, right? So Bitcoin peaked in November. So it kind of goes, right? Bitcoin peaked first, more risky, more volatile. Stocks peaked second in January, little less risky, little less volatile. Real estate peaked last in June. So you'll see when you start to see Bitcoin start ripping again, which it kind of did a little bit this year, stocks have been kind of dying to go, then real estate will follow. So that's how you win. Very sobering. I mean, I can make this video 3 hours long, but it's just when you look at that and you look at the data that they provide you, you realize that it's never going to stop. You know what I mean? So it's a sobering reminder, right? That everything we thought about, and I didn't wear the shirt on purpose today, but it was all a dream, right? the American dream was all a dream, but it's not. There's always opportunity, and you just have to be smart to that and focus and look for ways that you can beat inflation through hard assets. All right, guys, this 5-minute limit hit 10, but I thought it was very important. I wanted to share this stuff. All right, guys, have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks.